There we go.
Well, hello, I'm back with a new podcast. My name is King Fred. I'm sure you already know that. This is a Seven Bridges hip hop podcast. This is the first one I'm recording. I don't know when it's going to go out. I don't know if this will be the first one that goes out, but I'm very pleased to introduce you to. And on the other screen, I'm sure she can do a good job of interviewing, sorry, saying who she is. So over to you.
My name's Little Red. That's it, really.
Okay. So it's a good place to start. Who is Little Red? Where did she come from? We'll start with that. Please tell us who we are.
So, I am a rapper and a singer from Newcastle. I'm also a radio host on Method Radio as well. I've got my own show called The Kickback with Little Red. Um, yeah, so I'm based in and I was born in Newcastle and I'm an artist.
Nice one. Okay. What does an artist mean to you? Because I know it's got a lot of connotations, especially in the hip hop world. Some people say I'm a rapper, some people say they're an artist. Yeah, and things are changing now because you've got sort of artists who refuse to say that they're rappers, to say they're more than that, they're entertainers or they're artists. And quite a few of them actually sing as well, or have that sort of singy rap style.
Mhm.
Where do you fit into the sort of categories of that, or do you not categorize yourself?
Well, I don't really mind what people want to label me as because it just sort of it depends where I am. I do rap and I do sing, but I did definitely start off more with the singing.
Okay.
One thing that people might not know about me is before I sort of transitioned into hip hop, rapping, and then found my sort of sweet spot between the R&B and the hip hop,
Yeah.
I actually was a front woman in a metal band.
Okay.
So it's quite a different place to come from. I'm
Mhm.
not just a hip hop head or an
Yeah.
R&B head. I do have quite an eclectic taste in music, and I did
Okay.
grow up on a lot of heavier metal music, which is obviously sort of in a way, I don't do like heavy trap, the sort of metal hip hop stuff or anything like that, but it has definitely influenced sort of the instruments and things that I may want
Yeah.
used in beats or instrumentals. And I
Interesting.
try and take a little bit from everything. I listen to a lot of classical music
Okay.
as well, which people might not think. But yeah, I just normally call myself an artist or a performer. But if
Yeah.
people ask us to define that, I do a little bit of everything. I sing, I rap, and I've been spending the past couple of years trying to balance that and find my own unique sound,
Yeah.
um, without boxing myself into one
Okay.
one place really. So.
It's interesting you should say that, obviously, because as far as I'm concerned, when I was getting into hip hop was borrowing from all over. Do you know what I mean? So hip hop was borrowing from people's mom and dad's grandparents' record collections. So they were nicking James Brown, but Run DMC were also nicking rock. Yeah.
Mhm.
They were nicking, I don't know, Funkadelic, but they were also nicking from ska. Yeah, do you know what I mean? They were taking things from all over the place. De La Soul, we're
Mhm.
using rock sort of breaks,
Mhm.
drum patterns, all kinds of stuff. So it's been taken from all over. But then it got to the point where people started being like the hip hop police. This is my opinion. But people started,
Gatekeeping, yeah.
yeah, keeping and saying that this isn't strictly hip hop because it's not boom bap. And
Mhm.
my argument's always been, well, where did boom bap come from? Boom bap didn't just come from one sound. And even if it did, it would be pretty boring if we all just done that same ah. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
If we only just done that, we wouldn't have much in the way of records. Or if we did have loads of records, it'd all be the same, just with different voices on. So yeah, I find it interesting because I get labeled as a hip hop head because everybody knows within 5 seconds of being with us that they know I like my rap music, but I wasn't brought up on it. I was
Mhm.
just saying to you off recording. I'm old enough to remember when there wasn't hip hop, when I had to listen to other music. So when I was coming up through school, and I'm sure I've said this before, but I listened to some of my dad's music,
Mhm.
which was music he brought from Ghana, West Africa, when he came here in
Mhm.
the early '60s, to um to punk rock,
Mhm.
reggae, because at the
Mhm.
time that was what was splashing out. That was like, 76, 77, and that's how old I am. That was the kind of music that was coming out, and it was rebellious music. It was sort of saying, um, two fingers up to the establishment, and that's why I loved it. because
Hmm.
that's how I felt at the time as well. And I think we've got to be careful that we don't just, if we're a producer or making music, I believe that you should be listening to all kinds and borrowing from here and there, even if it's just a couple of seconds from a song, which
A
is what
hundred
good
percent.
producers do.
Well, sampling, my partner, he's an artist and he's a producer, and we
Yeah,
quite like to go crate digging. I don't really know too much about vinyls. I'll hold my hands up. It's not something I'm super experienced with, but
yeah,
recently we have been going crate digging and we
hmm
found I think it was a South American artist
yeah,
with a lot of Latin influence,
yeah,
and we used that, sampled it, and then flipped it into a beat. And
yeah,
I think that is the beauty of music, that you
definitely.
can sort of dip in, you can borrow things, and it can create something beautiful and unique. Do you know what I
And
mean?
and new.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. So yeah, where the original hip hop is the original um recyclers. Yeah, the green
Hmm.
the greens, definitely recycling stuff and changing it and making it into something new is definitely a hip hop trait. And I think you're right. I think also it's funny you've said that about obviously Latin music and all of that. I don't know if you've ever heard my shows. Um
But I know you've a good eclectic mix of all sorts. I've
yeah,
seen the polls that you do asking
yeah,
for
yeah,
what sort
yeah,
of style people want to hear
yeah.
on the different shows and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
So my stuff is originally when Sandy was bugging me saying to do a radio show, I was like, well, why would I do a radio show? I'm not a DJ. I don't sort of. He says you've got a million records. You can see some of them behind us here.
Mm.
You've got millions and millions of records, and during lockdown, I was trying to play some of them on Facebook and that just to cheer people up and cheer myself up. He said just play them. Um, People haven't heard them, and also you play a very different style. And obviously, when I told my dad at the same time I was going to do that,
Hmm.
rest in peace. He he just said, "Oh, come round," and I went round to his, and he goes, "They're yours," and he just give us all the records that he bought from Ghana and stuff he'd been buying when he was here, which is
Hmm.
hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of vinyl singles and albums of African funk and African jazz,
Hmm.
which a lot of DJs use, a lot of producers use. So yeah, definitely, if your partner's interested in those kinds of beats like Afro Latin, Afro, disco, any of that kind of stuff. It's all behind us here. So he's very welcome to listen to anything he wants at any time.
I
And
might
actually,
have
when you're
to
saying
look
digging
it
in
up.
crates, you don't have to just dig in vinyl because it's on CD now and it's in the air. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? It's digitized as well, so you can listen to it that way as well. Although I know people like the sound of vinyl, but
Hmm.
yeah, you can get the idea from anywhere. So
Hmm.
yeah, nice one. I like the idea of that. Okay, so when did you start rapping? What made you start rapping? Or when did you start singing first? What was that at school? Was that in church? Where was it?
That's a bit of a funny one, really, because you know what it is. I still remember my first ever, because I grew up on the age of CDs
Hmm.
and CD players, Walkmans, things like that. And I
Yeah,
remember being, I think I was about 7 or 8,
yeah,
and my parents had bought me a CD player for Christmas
yeah.
and a couple of albums. So a couple of the first CD albums that I ever got were actually Avril Lavigne, Let Go,
Hmm.
and Beyonce, the Crazy in Love album. So her first debut single.
That was just last
Sorry.
week, that man.
Maybe it's for you. I mean, time goes so quickly. I did listen to a lot of Destiny's Child. I watched a lot of MTV and
Yeah.
all the different music channels, and I
Hmm.
always sang along, sang in the car with my dad because my
Yeah.
dad was a DJ when I was younger.
Okay. Nice one.
Before I was born, he used to DJ around Newcastle, Leeds, even down in London. He had a
Yeah.
vinyl collection when I grew up, and that was something that
Hmm.
I loved to
Yeah.
flick through. So I've always sang along to albums, things like that. I don't know if you remember a band that was around for a little while called Big Brothers, which
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
a
Yeah. 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 They were
collective,
like
and they had,
UK rap sort of
yes,
R&B. Yeah.
were the UK or were they
Yeah, they
from the
were.
US? Were they from the UK?
Yeah. This is
I
Big
always
Bro. This is Big Bro with a big bro with a big flu.
taking over the show.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And those
Um,
sorts of things was when I started to really realize I
yeah.
like that style of music. I
Yeah.
listened to a lot of Ja Rule
Yeah.
growing up,
Hmm.
a lot of Christina Milian.
Yeah.
So from an early age, it was a lot of R&B and hip hop. And
Hmm.
during that era as well, there was a lot of when hip hop started coming into the mainstream and they started to collaborate with
Yeah.
pop
Yeah.
artists. So even Christina Aguilera
Hmm.
had a song, where she had a rapper in it. You had
Yeah.
Sierra and Missy Elliott
Yeah.
collabing together.
Yeah.
And I grew up on a lot of that. So that influenced me. So I've always sang from a very early age. I used to sing in the school plays and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I didn't start I mean, I used to rap along to Ja Rule when I was a kid, I can't lie. But I didn't start rapping and writing my own material until I was in my early to mid 20s.
Okay.
Which for some people they might think that's a little bit old to start, but to them, sorry, but I'm gonna do one of those because nobody can decide when is the right time for you
You're
to do
right.
what you
You're
want to
right.
do.
Yeah.
Everyone blooms at different times. But I've always struggled with my confidence. I've always had major stage fright. I've
Yeah.
always struggled to believe in myself. So I think I started rapping about 23, 24,
Okay.
but very behind closed doors. I wouldn't
Okay.
do it in front of anybody.
Okay.
I wasn't ready to, because it is quite a personal thing, especially when you're writing your own material. It's super personal to put that out there. So the past, I'd say probably about 3 or 4 years is when I've really started to perform, do live
Yeah.
performances, make tracks. Obviously, I've just performed at Lindisfarne Festival this year, which was my debut. So shout out to Amber Dessy, shout out to Donald Jenkins for making all of that happen. That was a something that I never in a million years thought I would ever be able to do. I used to struggle to talk in a group of people, never mind get up on stage in front of a massive group of people and
I hear
in
you.
a way bare your soul.
Cool.
You know
Yeah. I
what I
hear you.
mean?
Yeah.
So that was a fantastic experience. I actually got, and here I am gonna brag and I am gonna boast
So you
here.
should. So you should.
But I got to share a stage with Farmer G and
What?
rap
I heard.
on. Did you hear?
I,
Because
I
Riddler
wasn't.
was there.
I wasn't there, unfortunately, because I was DJing at the same time, and I
I
was
know
underwater,
you
and you were
were.
there.
I
So I was
know.
gutted because I heard.
Hmm.
I heard you went down the storm. Yeah, Riddler came
Thank
back and was
you.
raving about you. So Riddler, big up Riddler. Uh,
Yes, yes.
yeah, he was raving on about you, saying you were tremendous, and you
Oh,
blew the floor away. So well done you.
that's
Just
high praise from Riddler as well, because
yeah, it
he is
is.
the
Yeah,
hip hop
yes, it
head
is.
to bits, isn't
Yes,
he?
yes, yes, yes,
So.
yes, yes. We'll hold things to a high standard here at Vinyl Vandals. Don't you worry about
I know,
that.
and that sort of support is absolutely lovely as well, and I
Yeah,
think it makes a lot of it worth it. It makes the nerves and the
yeah,
stress and the
yeah,
anxiety worth it and it's not all about, getting good feedback, but it is nice when people who you respect and listen to a lot of the same stuff as you can come to you and
yeah.
genuinely say, "Hey, you smashed that."
Yeah.
So it's really warming
I
for your
totally agree.
heart and.
And what I would say to that is good feedback isn't always just, blowing smoke up someone's backside. It's also saying, oh, that was really good, that
Mhm,
part, but
mhm,
you could have maybe changed that. Maybe you were looking at the floor too much, or maybe you weren't connecting with the audience.
mhm.
That it depends who you listen to, because some people are just snipers and they'll just come and snipe and tell you all the crap that you've done.
Oh, of
But
course, you get that
if someone like
everywhere.
Riddler,
Like,
if someone
yeah.
like Riddler comes to you and says, "Well, actually, this or that," I'm
Hmm.
sure you would listen to it because you know he's not there to snipe. He would be
Hmm.
just there. In the likes of me, I don't go there to snipe. I'm a hard taskmaster, and anybody will tell you, "Oh, I go to a gig." I'm talking about people that are paid thousands and millions. Yeah, the top sort of so-called artists. I'm not saying you're not top because you will be, but
Bless
you
you.
know what I mean. But my thing is that if I'm going to give you advice, it's from love. It's
Hmm.
not from sniping. I can't do it. I can't rap. Do you know what I mean? I haven't got the guts to get up on stage and rap. But I am a connoisseur. I am a consumer. I was going to say
Hmm.
connoisseur, maybe I'm a connoisseur as well. But I'm a
I thought you were going to
consumer.
say that. No, to be fair. So,
I'm a consumer, and I watch a lot of hip hop.
mhm,
Watch a lot of rap. I watch a lot of performing. I'm from a musical family, so I know about stuff like that, or I think I do anyway. And if I come to you and said something, it would be out of love. So
mhm.
yeah, the thing is getting praise is great, but also getting constructive criticism is also good as well. If it's
Oh,
from
well,
the right
it's
people.
very valuable because at the
Mhm.
end of the day, there's always room for improvement. And in the musical field, you are always gonna face some sort of criticism, whether it's constructive or whether it's just people sort of,
Yeah,
because there are people who are out there who don't know what they're talking
yeah,
about, who don't know hip hop, who don't know rap, who might
yeah,
just be, well, that's shit, and then have
yeah,
nothing else to add to
yeah,
it.
yeah,
And that's fine because as well, you do have to develop sort of a bit of a thick skin and a lot of
Hmm.
resilience making
Hmm.
music because, again, it's subjective.
Yeah,
One person could absolutely love a project that you put
yeah,
out, and the next person could just dismiss it entirely. So it's
yeah,
about finding that middle ground, taking
definitely.
on some, criticism or constructive criticism
Yeah,
or tips or whatever from people that you think, well, yeah, they do know what they're talking about. But
yeah.
it's finding the balance. At the end
Mhm.
of the day, you're always going to find somebody who hates what you're doing, no matter what it is. So,
Yeah, I mean, me not liking a rapper because I don't like a rapper. So, I've been accused of being a hater a million times because I don't like Eminem. Okay. I don't get it.
uh-huh.
What I do get is he's
hmm
a very good wordsmith, and I get that. But
hmm
I don't like his whiny voice. I don't
hmm
like his subject matter. It's
hmm
just not me.
hmm
So my thing is, if you ever ask me, is Eminem a good rapper? I'll say yes, he's a really good rapper. He's just
But
not
it's
for
not
me.
for you.
Yeah, and that's
I
it.
have this
Yeah,
all the time with people. I have it constantly because I can say, yes, of course, this person is incredibly talented. Look at all the
yeah,
albums they've sold. Look at how
yeah,
popular they are. But it's just not for me.
yeah,
And I have, like, that's the thing in hip hop. Some people take that so offensively, and
yeah,
it's like I'm not
yeah,
slagging them off.
yeah,
I'm not saying they don't know what they're doing.
yeah,
It's just not my.
yeah,
It's just
yeah.
not my
Yeah,
cup of tea.
yeah.
We're all different
Yeah,
at
we
the
are.
end of the
We are.
day.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
we are. And my thing is equally there's a lot of the funny thing is, sorry, I've tried to said this before, and before I said that,
sorry.
what I'm going to say is one of the things that really gets on my nerves is it's implied it's because he's white that I don't like him. Like, what a load of rubbish. I don't like him because I don't like him. And
hmm
actually, there's a load of black rappers I don't like either. Do you
Well,
know what I
there you
mean?
go.
Yeah, it's not about the color of his skin. It's because I don't like his style. It's not.
hmm
He's not my cup of tea. But I can
hmm
appreciate his art form because he is
hmm
one of the top rappers in the world. I would definitely say that. But he's not somebody that I would want to tune into and listen to. But he's
Yeah.
not the only one,
hmm
regardless of the skin color. And I suppose that's the thing with it as well. It's horses for courses, isn't it?
Well,
Definitely.
I get that quite a lot because obviously I'm a white rapper, and
Yeah.
as well as being a female, that's even more of a sort of
I'm
minority
coming to that.
in the hip hop field. But
Yeah.
I get that a lot of time when people literally will, just because I rap, they send us Eminem's new track, and a lot of the time I go, I'm not really feeling that. There's like some of his older stuff I like. I like the Marshall Mathers LP. I like the Slim Shady one. But a lot of his newer stuff since about 2010 has just missed the mark entirely for me. And people just expect that from me. They expect me to be an Eminem stan, and they're often quite surprised when I see he's just not. He wouldn't even come close to me top 50, to be honest. And
Same,
that upsets
same,
people.
same as
But
well.
again, I'm not denying he's a talented
Yeah, yeah,
musician.
yeah,
He's good at what he does, but
yeah,
just it's not something that I
yeah,
don't think I've
yeah.
ever went and put an Eminem song on me telly or on me record player or whatever I'm playing me music through. Do you know what I mean?
I always laugh and joke about this, but there's an element of truth to it. There's two things in life that's really hurt me the most.
hmm
Buying my son Nike trainers, okay, and buy my son an Eminem album from HMV, a
Oh.
CD.
But see, we're all different. So your son's in one, but you're not. But that's
Yeah,
all
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
That's the
But it's
beauty of music,
but the
really.
worst thing is my son doesn't even bloody like music. He just wanted the Eminem album. That's my therapy. Don't worry, I need to go and get some help with that. So next one. So you're saying you sang at school and that, and then you got into rapping and stuff.
hmm
So the rapping part, where you said you were, I take you were just rapping in the bedroom and stuff. Yeah,
Pretty much to begin with,
yeah.
yeah.
Were you rapping with your mates?
A little bit, yeah. I met a couple of people from the northeast who
How?
it's
How do? How did that sort of? It doesn't just
um
happen.
online.
Okay.
I'd put something online saying that I wanted to get back into singing actually at the
Right.
time.
Yeah.
And someone invited us over to like a home studio just
Yeah.
to, do some music. And then he'd showed me some songs where him and his other mates from the Northeast were rapping. And I sort of
Mhm.
thought, ooh, because around that time I'd started listening to a guy called Russ, not the UK Russ, American Russ. And I would
Don't know
rap
either.
along to his stuff all
Right.
the time. And I thought, hey, I had this little moment. I thought, hey, I can rap. Do you know what I mean? I've hit every
Yeah.
bar in these verses, and I thought, yeah, I can do this. But I just didn't know how to structure songs
Yeah. Yeah.
because I listen to a lot of American rap as well.
Yeah.
When you're rapping along to something, you have a little bit, you adapt
Tilt.
their
Yeah.
accent,
Yeah.
don't you?
Yeah.
So I had to start writing my own stuff and doing it in my own accent, seeing
Yeah.
how it flowed, because obviously I was structuring things different.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not going to shout those people out because I've moved on from them, but it grew from there, and I will always be thankful for the fact that I've become aware of
Hmm.
Northeast rap at that point,
Yeah.
because I didn't know there was any rappers in the Northeast
Yeah.
until
Hmm.
I was shown them, you
Okay.
know. And then I thought, actually, there are people from the Northeast that are doing this. It's not just people down in London, because at that time there was only really London rappers about. Obviously, these days we've got like Liverpudlian rappers, like Scouse rappers and stuff now,
Yeah.
like A-Star. So we are seeing different accents coming
Yeah.
through. But for a while, obviously UK rap wasn't massive. I didn't have a huge understanding of it. But yeah, I started rapping with a collective of people, and then sort of went off on my own, and met other people from the Northeast
Yeah.
and linked with more like-minded people.
Yeah.
But yes, Russ, the American rapper, was my inspiration
Never heard of him.
to well, see, that's the thing. He's massive now, and he's independent, he's not signed.
Yeah.
And he's been making music since he was about 14. Might not be your cup of tea. And to be honest, I don't listen to a lot of his new stuff now. I haven't for the past couple of years.
Hmm.
Um, but he was such an inspiration for me because of a lot of the things he used to say about being your own biggest fan. If he can
Hmm.
do it, like anybody can do it. And
Hmm.
I just got a lot of inspiration from his attitude and his approach towards
Hmm.
music. He's actually put out like a self-help inspirational book recently. I've still not read it. I will hopefully get round to it at some point, but he does spit a lot of facts about the industry and
Hmm.
how there are problems within the music industry, and
Yeah.
his sort of drive and consistency, motivation, passions, what's got him to where he is now. You can hear some of his influences and things, and he was a fan of Eminem, and what was really nice is when he started to blow, he put a picture of him and Eminem online, and
Hmm.
actually said he was having like a massive fanboy moment. This was something he'd
Hmm. Yeah.
always wanted.
Hmm.
Some people see he's got a bit of an ego, but he says it's not ego, it's just belief in himself. But he's still humble enough to say, like, this is something that I've wanted since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like, this is
Yeah.
someone I look up to and
Okay.
stuff. So yeah, I think Russ was the artist that got me thinking, right, you
Interesting.
know what, I can
Okay.
do it.
Okay. Well, that's somebody that I always say when I do these and I speak to people, people tell us to go and check them out. I will check them out. I'll probably come back and say, yeah, but I'll give it a go.
If I was going to advise you of anything, I would advise you to listen to one of his earlier albums. So
Right.
there's an album
Name one.
called There Really Is a Wolf, which is the classic is his debut album. He's
Yeah.
had albums before that, but that was the first album when I started to discover him, and I think he's got no features on it. It was
Right.
completely independent, not
Yeah.
signed to a label, and he ended up going platinum eventually off it.
Hmm.
And that for me was like, because he does sing a bit as well.
Hmm.
So with me being a singer and a rapper and trying to
Yeah.
balance it, and like I said, just his attitude towards it, I got
Yeah.
really inspired and thought, give it a go.
Yeah.
What have I got to lose, really?
So you've took us to the next part of the question, which is your top five rappers of all time. Don't dare. You were given
I
advance
know,
notice.
I know, and I've been thinking about this, but the thing is,
Sorry, I'll just interrupt you. What I say
that's
to
fine.
people is don't overthink it. It's
Hmm.
your five rappers now. That might change in an hour's time, or change in 5 minutes' time. Just give us your five now.
That's what I was gonna say. If you asked me next week or next month,
Yeah.
it would potentially change. But I've definitely got to say, J. Cole.
Okay, cool.
J. Cole will be on there each and every time. Russ, for all of the reasons that I've just explained, because he
This is
was
you. This is USA Russ, yeah.
USA Russ, yes.
Yeah.
He's the guy that got me into rapping and made us believe I can, why not me? Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Why
Okay.
why not me?
Hmm.
Mac Miller, although
Okay.
he's obviously not with us
Right.
anymore. This is a bit of a wild card, and this might
Go on.
throw some people off, but Busta Rhymes.
Why would it put people off? I saw him a couple of, was it a year or two, a year ago or something? I took my
Mhm.
wife because it the arena because of 50 cent tickets, but it was for my wife because she loves Busta Rhymes. So yeah, that's fair
I
enough.
know it's just a bit of a wild card because he's not really been as active in the past couple of years. And I've got beef with him about this Flip Mode Squad album, which he promised were last year, but I will forgive him eventually. And then, oh, my last one. I think I've got to throw a female in there, and I've got to throw a UK rapper in there as well. So I've got to give the last space to Little Sims.
Spot on. I'll
Yeah.
agree with that one with you. Yeah, I think she's just quality myself. Like that's yeah,
It is just phenomenal.
yeah. Right, okay. Well, Mac Miller, I know nothing about him at all.
Hmm. Hmm.
I've seen the face, I've heard
Yeah.
about him, but I couldn't even name a song by him. I don't know anything by Russ. J.
Hmm.
Cole, a friend of mine, shout out to Super Nice. He used to always try and get into J. Cole early on. I just
Hmm.
couldn't get with it. I maybe need to go back to him. Busta, I've got about three of his albums.
Hmm.
Um, and obviously some singles. And funny enough, when my son was little, he used to love "Give Me Some More" by Busta Rhymes. He used to ask us to
Exactly.
play it and play it and play that in the
Mhm.
car. And yeah, Little Sims, I've got about three of her albums or something, or four maybe. Yeah, she's obviously more recent, but I think she's quality, definitely. Yeah. Okay, nice one. All right. Oof, your favorite rappers. On that, what are your five favorite non-hip hop? So, non-rappers, so singers. Yeah.
Oh, I haven't thought about this one, but I am a very big R&B fan. Like I
Yeah.
did mention before, that's sort of what I would say is my favorite genre, and that is my radio show is R&B and hip hop, and I like to balance
Good.
that.
Yeah.
Um, you really put us on the spot, yeah, Fred,
Good.
to be honest with you. So I do like Snow Allegra.
Never heard of them.
She's an R&B vocalist. She's done a couple of collabs with people like Tyler, the Creator, and she doesn't have loads of stuff out, but
Yeah.
her sound for me it's just so smooth and
Hmm.
so rich, and
Okay.
it's something that I take a lot of inspiration from.
Hmm.
Oh, I'm gonna struggle with this, you know. My head's went a little bit blank at the moment. I'm trying to think because obviously I grew up on a lot of sort of heavier music, and I'm
Well,
thinking,
it can be heavy stuff. It doesn't have to be the R&B stuff, you know. It could be your rock stuff that you were talking about.
yeah, well, I'm thinking, I don't even know if I would class this as top five, but there was a band I listened to a lot growing up called Emma Rosa.
Emma Russo.
And they blended sort of slightly heavier guitars and the double
Hmm.
bass pedals and things like that with their lead singer was Johnny Craig for a long
Hmm.
time. He's a powerhouse of vocals. His voice is phenomenal. He was hitting falsettos, the big power notes and things like that. That's something that I took massive inspiration from.
Okay.
So a lot of the songs were very emotional and very powerful. Like they would
Hmm.
invoke a massive emotional feeling.
Yeah.
And part of my therapy is that I would just belt these songs out and absolutely sing me heart out entirely to those songs. Even though she's an old, like from back in the day, more of a retro artist, I've got to say it, Christina Milian.
That's not retro. That's last week,
It's
man.
for me. She was like in the early 2000s, 2010s and that, wasn't it?
Retro.
Maybe not to you, but she's
Yeah.
someone I grew up absolutely playing a lot of.
Now you're making this feel really old when you see a retro with somebody like that. Blooming heck.
Have I done three now? I've done three, haven't I?
Done three, yes.
I'm gonna have to say, weirdly enough, just from her first album, Avril Lavigne, the Let Go album that she wrote when she was 17, still to this day is one of my top albums ever. Every single time I put it on, I know every single word from every single song. And again, I think that was the first album I was ever bought.
Okay.
And as a 17-year-old to be writing that level of songs, like, don't get us wrong, I didn't like her later stuff when she starts like Girlfriend and the very pop and she was obviously aiming at a younger audience, and went a lot more commercial. But that album for me was pivotal, to be honest.
Cool.
There's four. Oh, who am I gonna give the last one to? Hmm. Oh, I'm really not sure, you know. Who else? See, because I'm starting to think of other hip hop artists again already, you know.
Anybody? You had your hip hop ones. This is your music in general.
Oh, you
It can be
probably.
another hip hop one, but
I'm gonna throw one in. So there's a woman who's just kind of emerging at the minute. She's called Lexa Gates.
Lexa Gates.
Lexa Gates, yeah.
First on.
She's American. I think she's over in New York, sort of Brooklyn way. She's got a bit of a deeper voice, but yeah, she is hip hop, but she does sing a little bit as well. So I guess I can kind of
Okay.
chuck that one on the end. But I've listened to two of her albums so far, and I think she's working on a third at the minute. So she's got Elite Vessel and Universe Wrapped in Flesh,
Okay.
both fabulous projects in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think she's a little bit different from what we're hearing at the minute, whilst still keeping a very original old school hip hop sound, but doing something new on
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
And obviously I'm a sucker for females in the hip hop, and then especially if they're singing and stuff as well. And anyone who's just a little bit different,
Yeah.
breaking the mold, but staying very true to themselves.
Okay.
Um, and she's got quite an interesting backstory to her as well, and I do like that. If you like an artist enough, you do delve a little bit more,
Yeah.
you know.
I certainly do. Right. So you've said that, and that's interesting because that leads us nicely on to the next bit, which is female rappers. Obviously, I'm from a time when there wasn't any female rappers, or very, very few, and hip hop very misogynistic
Can be.
can be. I'm talking about a time when it was very
Mm,
misogynistic, or that was what was getting pushed. I've got to correct myself because I don't believe it was. I believe it was being pushed by record labels. Not every rapper was being misogynistic, but it felt as though it was, and that was because the
yeah.
most popular ones, the ones that were getting pushed by record labels, were the ones that we were seeing, the ones that we were hearing on the radio and stuff like that.
hmm
But it seems to have been an explosion for the last, I don't know, is it 10 years or something? I just feel as though,
I'd
especially
say
definitely
so.
the last few years, there's been an explosion of female rappers. I'm not sure if I like a lot of them. I think
Same, to be
there's a
honest.
lot of pop, but then I didn't like a lot of the male ones when they went pop as well. But there is a massive explosion. They're dominating. I mean, I can now, I don't know their music, but I can now name loads of female rappers and not many male ones. It's sort of
Yeah.
like seems as though it's flipped.
hmm
How do you feel about that, about this new sort of generation? Does that inspire you, or do you think a lot of it's,
It's a bit of a hard one because each to their own. What you want to do with your craft is totally up to you. But I
yeah,
do believe there is a lot of over-sexualized females at the moment. But then again, back in the 80s and 90s, you still had that as well.
you
You could
did, but it wasn't as
argue
many,
that.
was it? There was like Foxy Brown and Little Kim, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Remy Ma, but she wasn't really over
no,
sexualized. She was more,
yeah,
she just did what she did.
yeah,
But the likes of Megan the Stallion, Cardi B, obviously
yeah,
everybody knows the WAP tune.
yeah,
And I suppose there's the two sides of the argument for that men do explicit rapping, and why should females be any different? But I think when it's just that, when it's just sexualized rapping, it becomes
yeah,
so monotonous and boring. Like, talk about something else, get a different subject matter, because obviously hip hop comes from the streets, and it comes from personal struggles, personal
yeah.
experiences and things like that. And I am a little bit sick of just hearing the same stuff again and again. But it's not just from the women, but like you said,
No,
because we've
definitely
had
not.
this massive explosion
Yeah,
of women
yeah.
recently, it just gets a bit boring, to be honest
It's
with you.
as an oldie, and I don't want to be sort of like, oh well, why was it okay for men to do? Because it wasn't, although we all got carried away on it,
hmm
especially some of the gangstery stuff as well.
hmm
That sort of. you get on my soapbox here, but that's sort of a lot of us did anyway. Got carried away with the sort of like, oh, I'm going to listen to this, and actually, all it's glorifying is the killing of black men, and there's enough of that going on anyway
Hmm.
in America and stuff anyway by the authorities without black men having to do it to each other.
Hmm.
Um, and I suppose my only sad point is that when women are finally able to have a more of a say in the market and are more visible, what they do is to if the record labels again knowing what they've done in the past, they're now doing it with females. It feels like, oh, we'll push them as an
Hmm.
artist and we'll not push the other stuff, which I find sad. And I would be happier if there was more of a balance, that if, there was equal amounts of pushing for the artists that are, not always saying positive stuff, but saying stuff that's different. That's
Yeah.
not, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just that sad sort of like, oh, we'll just push this. Especially now when we've got more lanes now where people can push themselves. Record labels haven't got as much tight grip, although they have in other ways, because now they own things like platforms like Spotify and Tidal and all of that, which is another form of record label in a way. And they can affect the algorithms and push people more than they push others.
Hmm.
It's just a bit sad that that's what it is. But who am I? I don't want to be a bit of old head. I just find it sad that only one sort of thing gets pushed. Same as we've still got this drill thing going on at the moment, which again is still that sort of kill, 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 murder, murder, murder,
Oh,
drug, drug,
yeah.
drug.
And
You
that
know?
as well, it does influence the youth. It does influence people growing up. Like I live in Biker,
Yeah,
which, is a council estate. We have a lot of problems with crime and stuff. And the
yeah,
increase that I've seen in people wearing balaclavas
yeah,
on the streets because they're influenced by drill and trap and by a
yeah,
lot of these rappers who are covering their faces
yeah,
constantly.
yeah.
And I understand there's trends and things like that. But at the end of the day, like musicians do have a bit of a responsibility
I would say they
because
do.
they are influencing these kids to think that it's cool to commit crimes and rob people and sell
Mhm.
drugs and do all of these things. And yes, hip hop has always had an element of that, but I do think it's just getting
I
out of
agree,
control
but I
at the
suppose
moment.
sorry to interrupt there, but I
No, you're
think
fine.
I totally agree with what you're saying. But I suppose I'm always careful to say, is it hip hop or is it the record labels? Because hip hop, a lot of
Hmm.
the time, or the record labels or the millionaires, they're the
Hmm.
ones that got advertising space. They're the ones that own the radio stations and the entertainment stations, the video stations. I know it's not so much video shows anymore, but there was back in the day, UMTV Raps and Music Box and stuff like that. They were pushing an agenda as well because that was the most stuff that you saw. That was just that was influencing the youth. That was the stuff that people were taking into the houses. And if I asked the odd friend of mine that wasn't into hip hop, they'd all sort of characterize hip hop as being yo yo yo, boom boom boom, bitch bitch bitch. That was what they thought of as rap. And if they got in the car with me and were listening to and I was playing something else, they were like, "What's this?" And I'm saying, "Well, this
Hmm.
is hip hop." No, it's not. They would actually argue with me and say, "Well, because they didn't even have a concept that there was any other kind of rap apart
Hmm.
from shoot so many men dead, slap
Yeah.
so many women up across the head. Do you know what I mean? Treat your woman in a certain way, sell drugs. That was
Yeah.
what they thought hip hop was. They actually thought that.
There's different avenues of it, and I suppose it sounds a bit hypocritical because I listen to quite a lot of gangster rap. Like I love Big
Totally.
Pun, Capital Punishment, the
Yeah,
album. You know
yeah,
what that's like in the
yeah.
content he's talking about. But I think it's not just the music; it's a combination of social media,
Hmm.
um, things like YouTube, Spotify. Things are so
Yeah,
easily accessible. Back in the day, you would have to go out and buy a record or buy an album, have a CD player to be able to listen to that music, or at the very least have cable to watch
yeah.
MTV. Now, all kids need to do is reach in their pocket. And I mean,
Agree.
kids as well, because kids are the ones with
Yeah,
the phones and
yeah.
know how to access all this stuff online.
Mhm.
So I think it's a combination of everything. We can't just blame um one genre of music or whatever, but I do think that definitely drill and trap is probably had quite a detrimental effect on the youth if you were to ask me. And like we said about the over sexualization of women at the moment.
And
But there's
homophobia, you know.
yes, but that's
Yeah.
always been very, very
Crime,
rife in
drugs.
the hip
Yeah,
hop community, unfortunately. There's problems with absolutely everything. We
it
can't
is.
fix it. But I mean, we could be here all day
Good.
discussing
And
the
while,
issues.
while we're on the subject of influences and stuff, I suppose
Hmm.
I'm just going to run this one by you. You might have an opinion on it, you might have thought about it.
Hmm.
But there's all the raise the flag, raise your colours, all of this type of stuff going on. I'm not wanting you to sort of comment on that as much as where do you see like I've seen some arguments going on. I don't know if you've seen them, but there's some rappers in the Northeast and across the country
Mhm.
who are sort of agreeing with some of that stuff. Big sigh.
It's Yeah, because I think as well with everything that's been going on, obviously everybody's got an opinion, but I think social media is the wrong place to be voicing it.
Right.
I really do. I don't agree with all of it. I get upset when I see all these flags in the
Hmm.
street because I know what the connotations are behind it.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And it's not positive a
Right.
lot of the time.
Okay.
And this is probably quite an unpopular opinion, but a lot of people take to Facebook and voice their opinion without really knowing what they're talking about, without researching things. And I think that's quite a dangerous game to play because people are very influenced about what's a popular status or a popular opinion online. And people sometimes call me a fence sitter because I won't comment on stuff. Sometimes I say I don't know enough to have a good opinion or like nobody's really asking me. I think these sorts of conversations, yes, discuss them with your friends, but on social media, it's a competition of who's getting more likes, who's more right. Nobody's listening to each other. They're
Agree
just
with that. Totally agree with that
voicing
thought.
their
Yeah.
opinion. And
I suppose the part that I'm asking though is because I didn't really want to, I'm asking it in a certain way. I
Mhm,
suppose is not that people have got an opinion or not. I suppose where does it fit in hip hop? Listen to where hip hop's come from.
mhm,
In your words, I'm going to sort of paraphrase what you said before.
mhm.
You said hip hop comes from the streets.
Yeah.
Let's not skip around. It didn't come from the white neighborhoods. It came
No,
from
it's music of black origin at the
came
end of
from
the day.
the black neighborhoods. It came from the Latino neighborhoods. It came from the Bronx in New York, where Puerto Ricans and blacks were living.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's spread all over the world.
Hmm.
Okay, I suppose my thing is how does that fit into hip hop today when you've got people all over the world listening to it? But then I'm also hearing that you've got um right wing rappers in Russia. You've got right wing rappers in the UK. You've got right wing rappers in America. Yeah, certain. I mean, some of them are in America. There's a couple of them that sort of have rode that wave of sort of listening to hip hop. Uh,
Hmm.
not sort of used hip hop as a vehicle, but then are coming up with some very interesting sort of comments. So what I'm asking on a sort of micro level is in bring it back to the Northeast. There's a bit
Hmm.
of an argument going around about certain rappers. I'm
Hmm.
not going to mention their names. I don't even know them.
Hmm.
Or maybe I do. I don't know. But I've heard names. I suppose it's just that kind of like, can you be a hip hop fan, but then also be spouting some of this stuff that they're spouting? I suppose
Not really,
hip hop
but
artists.
we've seen it for ages where people pick and choose part of cultures or stuff
Yeah,
like that that
totally agree.
fit their agenda, but then don't like look at the bigger picture.
Yeah,
So if we want to break it down, like personally, I've never experienced any sort of prejudice or rejection for the color of my skin
yeah,
being a rapper. I've never ever had that. I've had more prejudice because I'm a female
yeah.
within the industry.
Okay,
So I think, like, I just think that sort of stuff is absolutely stupid. You need to pay homage and have respect for where that music originally comes
came
from.
from.
And if you're
Hmm.
spouting the other stuff, then personally, I think there's no place for you here. Anybody who's going to spout any hate or prejudice towards other people for these ridiculous reasons, then I think we should not allow you a space within the
Okay.
community. But again, I've always found the hip hop community to be pretty welcoming. Yes,
Hmm.
I've experienced a few issues from men, unfortunately,
Yeah,
being a
I was
woman,
going to come
where
to that. Yeah,
well, I'll let you carry on with that. But I
sure.
like
Yeah,
it's always been very welcoming for me, being a white-skinned person,
yeah,
being in hip hop.
yeah.
I've never had anybody say you can't rap
Yeah.
or this, that, and the
It's like
other. So
sorry to put you on the spot. It's
no,
come
that's
up a
fine.
lot, and people have pulled me to one side. I think is a older head or a voice. Some people say it's a voice of reason. I don't know why, but they do. I suppose it's just an interesting debate. I
Of
suppose
course.
my next part was going to be around that about you did touch on it before, and one of the things was when you said you first started getting in meeting people on the line, and then you went to somebody's house, the
Hmm.
house setup to
Hmm.
record some stuff or listen to some stuff.
Hmm.
I do worry about that sometimes, and I don't know if you know, but I'm a youth worker, so I work with young people.
Yes,
Yeah, and I used to.
I had met this person before,
Right,
so
all
it
right, that's
wasn't
fine, that's
just
fine.
yes,
I'm
yes.
saying in general though, I think just about being careful. I'm also talking about males as well, going to people's houses that they don't know, they're recording stuff because you know what you
Oh,
do. Yeah.
well,
Um,
this day and age of social media, it is,
yeah,
it is quite scary, that sort
yeah,
of stuff. You've got to take precautions at the end of the day and sort of like let people know where you are, put your location, saves like you put your location on and things like that. I had met this person before, so it wasn't like
no,
there
that's
was
fine.
there
That's
was
fine.
a few people there who I'd met before, so I did
Yeah.
feel comfortable going into that. But you are right, as a young female going into a male dominated
Yeah.
area and being in a house with more males who you might not know very well.
Yeah.
There's always risks at the end of the day
There
with that
is.
sort of stuff,
Yeah.
isn't there?
I suppose where I'm getting at as well, though, is it's not just because you're female. I suppose it's because there's a there is quite a few males that take it as take advantage of the fact that
Hmm.
a woman, because there's not many women in hip hop, and
Hmm.
what I've seen over the years at hip hop gigs, for instance,
Hmm.
um, is if a female turns up, do you know
Hmm.
what I mean? There's like 10 men swamping her, hanging around her, giving her unwanted attention, being quite sleazy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Can't just let her come to a gig and watch Public Enemy see on stage. As an
yeah.
example, they're being quite sleazy and stuff, and I just that's the horrible side of that. And
Hmm.
me being a youth worker, and I've used music before. I don't know if you know, but years ago I used to run a thing, an under 18s hip hop and R&B event called Crunk, and
Okay.
we used to have about 2,000 people in the nightclub every month.
Hmm.
Um, and some of the guys I used to work with used to come to the youth project who helped me run it. Some of the young people, they would then also say who was going to rap on stage because we used to have rappers on stage. Some local, some we used to bring up from London, and it got bigger and bigger to the point where we had Tiny Temper on and other people like that. But always through that, I was always intercepting dirty, horrible perverts who were trying to take advantage of young women
Hmm.
and some young men, by the way, but
I
just
guess.
take advantage.
Hmm.
Um, and they're still around, and
Hmm.
some of them I refuse to have anything to do with to this day.
Hmm.
And it just annoys us that obviously, be, one of the things that people always say, "Oh, we need more women involved," and they say, "Well, there's no women, there's less women involved because even when they do, they get sleazed on, they get bothered, they get oh well, yeah, they get all kinds of things happen to them. Yeah, that's horrible.
That does happen at gigs and events and things like that, but it also happens in clubs and
Yeah,
stuff as
yeah,
well. It doesn't just
it does.
specifically happen in the music
I agree.
industry.
I
But you
agree.
are right as well. I mean, there's shows like Love and Hip Hop, and you see sort of the
Mhm.
way some of the producers are with the women in sort of striking up deals, and if you scratch my back, I'll
Yeah,
scratch yours. And
yeah.
unfortunately, this is the reality of being a female. You are always going to get sort of things like that, of people overstepping the mark. You, you have to be quite thick-skinned.
Mhm.
There's not just that side, but there's the snubbing side as well, where men will push in front of you in a cipher. They'll refuse to pass you the mic because they don't respect you. Maybe because you're a female, maybe because they don't know you. But I've experienced that a couple of times. I'm very lucky that I work with Amber Desi through Amber Desi events,
Mhm.
and we always try and combat this sort of stuff. So she has like a female only night coming up at some point, called
Good.
Femme Fatale,
Yeah.
which is specifically about this, about creating a very safe environment for women to come and do their art. It'll be women only, or people who identify as women only, and it's a safe space for women to come in,
Good.
feel totally comfortable,
Yeah.
totally safe, and just do that thing. And it's entirely about the art. Obviously, we can have male spectators, male people
Mhm.
in the audience, but it's created by women for women,
Okay.
because we do still unfortunately face a little bit of prejudice within the music community sometimes, and hopefully we'll get to a point in the future where that's not as much of a problem, but it still is.
Yeah, it is. I'm not going to deny it, and I suppose my thing is about I I do want to have to keep females safe, but
Mm.
obviously my part of my job is to do that, as in what I'm paid to do, and also I don't just do this job paid. I also do a lot of community activism within communities,
Mhm.
because I believe in it, and it just always when I still see some of these sleazes still hanging around and still getting up to some of the tricks that they did from 20 years ago, it still
Mhm.
annoys us immensely. they're still around and they're still sniffing around and trying to, that old casting couch thing. Or come to my studio, which happens to be in my bedroom,
Hmm.
and record some tunes and then sleazing on them and trying. And some of these blokes are men when some of the ones that I'm talking about were schoolgirls,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Unfortunately, though, that in itself, as much as it might be a little bit more predominant in the music industry, that is a social problem within
totally,
itself.
totally, totally
So it's to be honest, it's really nice and refreshing to speak to somebody who's so aware of that and somebody who's
yeah,
trying to combat that because I
yeah,
think within the industry we should people like us should be banding together and making sure that these sleazeballs, like you're saying,
yeah,
don't get a foot in the door, they don't get a look in, they shouldn't be given these opportunities because it'll continue the cycle.
agree.
We need to put our foot down and make sure that those people are blocked out where they can be. We can only do so much, but we've got to try.
Yeah, agreed.
So,
And we've got to make sure, like you're doing, we need to make spaces that are safe for females to come and know that they're not going to get that and they can breathe and they can work on their craft and not on having to bloom and dodge people or to be put off from it. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And when I say sleaze, I only say sleaze because I'm on here. It's not what I would say if they were there in front of us. So just so you know, and you know who I'm talking about as well.
I
I
do,
see
I
that
do,
yeah, yeah.
I
I'm
do.
not sorry, I'm talking to the people listening to this. They know that I'm talking about them because they know exactly who they are, some of them, because I've had them
Good,
face to face. Some of them have had a little tickle on the chin of me in the past because I don't like them.
good.
I'm still watching them because they're scumbags. And
Well, I
that's
wish there was
it's, you know,
more.
you
I
know.
wish there was more people like you
There
who are
is, there
willing
is,
to
we're not all
call
like
it
that.
out, to be honest, because I think a lot of the time some people say, oh, well, I don't want to rock the boat or it's not my business. Make it your business. If you are passionate about keeping people safe, we need to stop accepting this sort of behavior. The
Yeah.
more it's
Okay.
accepted, the more it's normalized and the more these people will slip through the net. In my opinion, there's no place for people like that and we need to eradicate and we need to stand up for it. At the end of the day, hip hop is about standing up for what's right and what you believe in. Are we going to allow these people to continue on, or are we
Which,
going to take a stand against it?
Yeah. And what I would say is as well is that we need to set by example. So I've been young and I've done a lot of mistakes and I've done stuff. People could probably come here and say, well, you did that, Fred. You wolf whistled to them lasses when they walk past you at the bus stop. And yeah, I did. I was young and then I've grew up and I matured. And now I'm making my life's mission to educate young people that they don't do that and to let them know what it's like for a female that has to pass a bus stop or a van load of men sitting in a van, workmen and stuff like that, and having to go the long way around to go to school because they have to walk past the building site where the sleazy men. Even now, these days, they don't whistle as much, but they just stand and stare like uncomfortably, which
And
is
intimidate,
bad and it's
intimidate
intimidating. Yeah,
people.
exactly.
It's not right. And we shouldn't have to use the argument of what if it was your sister, what if it was your daughter or your mother, just to try and get through to people.
Agreed. I mean, I have used that in the past with some of them because sometimes I've got to take it down to the lowest denominator because they don't get it.
Yeah, because we don't have
Yeah,
enough brain cells, that's
yeah.
why.
Oh, they're young. They haven't actually, no one's ever actually come to them. Their dad does it.
Challenge them.
Their big brother
Yeah.
does it. Do you know what I mean? Their mates do it. So and I did it years ago when I'm talking about crunk. There was a session where they were going on about women being SLAGs, and I was like, oh, hang on a second. Is that all right for you to see your mom is like that or your sister? His
Hmm.
sister, sorry, because this guy he's got a mom and two sisters, and he got up in my face and went, "Don't you call my?" So well, it's not all right then, is it? And
Yeah.
sometimes, yeah, I agree with what you said. Don't totally agree with what you said. But sometimes to try and get the message through them, sometimes you've got to get down to a bit their level. So only way I could get to him and other people sometimes is to say, if you're not prepared to let your mom be called that, or your sister to be called that, or your girlfriend to be called that, why are
Hmm.
you letting someone? Because they're someone's mom and they're somebody's sister, and sometimes it's the only thing to understand. But I totally agree. They're not your property. They're not your lass. Do you know what I mean? And kind of thing. But it's sometimes hard to get through to some of these lot, and
Hmm.
sometimes you have to sort of get down with them in the first
Yeah.
place to be there.
I
But
think
thanks for
just
that.
that's all right. I'm just gonna say, like, I think sometimes just challenging that, like you said, like
Yeah,
people's environments, if they
yeah,
surround themselves with people with similar views and they've never ever been challenged before,
challenge.
I think some of the most
Yeah,
important and powerful things we can do is just challenge people's views and behaviors.
totally.
So,
Okay, we're coming to the end now, and this has been
yeah.
fantastic. So thanks very much.
Oh, I've had fun. Thank you for asking us to do
No,
it.
no, definitely you're the first one, but you're definitely not the last. And what I would say is, I will come back to it, but Amber, you're on my radar. So
I'll let
you're
her
that
know.
pal. Get that
I'll let
told.
her know.
Get that told. Yeah. Okay. you've got my number now, so pass it on to her and tell her to get in touch if she's interested. But I'll
I
pass it
will
anyway.
do. Hmm.
Yeah, okay. So as we come to the end, bit of fun.
Hmm.
I alluded to it before. I'm not a Nike fan. I'm straight up Adidas. Um, don't do Air Max and all of that. What's your
Hmm.
favorite trainer?
I'm not a proper trainer head. I've got a pair of Adidas with the white ones with the black stripes. That's about as much as I know.
What does that mean?
Because I know a lot of hip hop heads have proper trainer collections. Like, do you know what it is? I only learned what Vapor Max were a couple of years ago. And honestly, I think they're minging. I do.
Of course
Sorry.
they are. They're Nike.
Do you know what I mean? But I'm a bit more alternative. I've been rocking my Converse recently, me. So I'm not really. I mean, I like my sports jackets. This is a Gazelle list, but it's second hand from the charity shop. But I like my sports jackets. I've got a
Mhm,
nice Adidas one over there. You'll be pleased to hear.
mhm.
Um,
Salute.
but yeah, I like sports jackets. Things you know, like the Sopranos style.
Yeah. The
Yes.
shell jackets. Yeah, the shell.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so anything
yeah.
sort of 90s, because I do
Mhm.
like the 90s sort of old school fashion, but I wear all sorts, me. I wear hippie skirts, tie-dye skirts, bohemian dresses.
Okay,
I have a bit more of a different style. I don't dress
that's good.
strictly hip hop, so I'm
Okay.
sorry to disappoint you on your trainer's question there, like,
That's
but
quite all right. As long as you're not a Nike fan, I can live with that. That's all right. So just before we finish off,
Mhm.
um, what you working on? Are you working on anything? Is anything that you need to tell anybody what you're selling?
Yeah.
What you're
I
selling?
am. So I'm currently working on my EP, which it's been a long time coming.
Okay. How many songs?
I think it's going to be five. So just a nice amount, nothing too overwhelming. I've got one of them done. I've got four more to do, and that
Hmm.
will be a blend of singing and rapping,
Hmm.
mainly hip hop style and
Yeah.
R&B. So
Hmm.
sticking to
Yeah.
to me favourites. I've got a couple of collabs I'm working on at the minute. One with Amber Desi.
Hmm.
That one, weirdly enough, is a drum and bass track, which I'm rapping on. Which is a little bit different. I'm not a drum and bass artist, but it's something that I wanted to try my hand at. That's called Deluded.
What
Hopefully
is
that one
what
will
is
be out.
what does Amber do? Just tell people because people
Um,
won't.
Amber Desi is a singer and she also runs her own events company. So
Mhm.
she puts on a lot of events around the northeast and surrounding areas.
Okay.
She has a CIC, so Amber Desi Events is a CIC, community interest company.
Okay.
So charity work, providing safe spaces for up and coming artists
Good.
and
Good.
all of that wonderful stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, shout out to her.
Good.
We've got a collaboration coming out. I have just had a collaboration with a guy called Adam Turner on
Okay.
his album called Turnaround. And again, gonna brag here, I'm on the same album as Snoop Dogg.
Whoop whoop.
So, yes, I know I never in a million years thought that would happen. So, if anybody's listening and is interested, go run that up. It's on
Okay.
Spotify, it's on Apple
Yeah.
Music, it's on YouTube,
Mhm.
Deezer, pretty much everywhere. The track I did with Adam Turner is called Not Today, and I'm,
Okay.
I'm featured on that track. Um, and there's a couple of other little collabs in the works at the moment, which are still getting
Did
done.
you ever hook up with Borzin?
With who?
Borzin.
Oh, yes. Actually, I have got three tracks sitting in my inbox in my emails at the moment, but I've had a little bit of time off recently, which, mental health, physical health,
Yeah.
won't need to look after myself. But today's
Mhm.
my first day back, Fred. You were first on my list of things to,
So I
to
should
sort.
be. So I should
So
be.
yes, but yes, literally after I get off this Zoom call, this meeting with you, I'm gonna be going through all my emails because I've got loads of stuff to be getting on with. I've got loads of tracks, I've got loads of beats, I've got collabs, I've got mixes, I've got loads of stuff that I need to
Okay.
to kick myself up the bum and get sorted with, to be honest. But
Exciting
yes, I did.
times.
Yes,
Have
I,
we?
I, I forgot that you linked me up with him, to be fair.
Mhm.
Hmm.
He's a good dude. We used to
Hmm.
run something called Keep the Faith. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but we used to do a album compilation. So we probably were the first. Someone's gonna come and jump into, no, you weren't, but we used to have like what so-called like a loosely sort of record label where we used to bring albums out, and between us, we
Hmm.
brought out about, I don't know how many, about 8 compilation albums, and then we did other people's albums. We used to like sort of duplicate them as well and bring them out.
Mhm.
And Barson was like the producer for it, so he used to
Okay.
bring the stuff together and make it ready for the compilations. I don't know if you've ever heard of us in the past, but I've got some stuff here that you can listen to. I can send you as well some of the old
Smashing,
style
yeah.
Geordie hip hop from back in the day that you mightn't even know about. There's a
Yeah, I'd
history
love
here.
that. I'd love that. He did mention keep the faith to
Yeah.
us when because
Okay.
we met up in person and just had a
Nice
little
one.
bit of a chat to see if
Nice one.
we would
Bro.
gel well.
Yeah,
So, but that's the amazing thing about music. You meet a lot of people
you
and
do.
you make a lot of
Yeah,
connections that you
yeah,
might not have
definitely.
previously. So,
Okay. So anything else you want to say before we go? I've got a couple of shout outs after you finish, but is there anything you want to say?
oh, you love putting me on the spot. You've done it a couple of times on here.
Right, what I'll do is have a quick think. I'm gonna
Okay.
just give a couple of shout outs.
Yes, do it. Go ahead.
So, Barzin, my
Mm.
man Barzin, if you are in the Northeast, or maybe it's even further afield, and you're looking for Barzin's very much like me. He does his thing, he's got his own things that he does, his businesses and work and that, but what he also likes to do is give back. And he wants to help people that are struggling. He's a producer. He does a lot of hip hop beats and other kinds of music as well. But what he also likes to do, he wants to be able to help people get on as well. So sort of under the radar sort of management stuff as well. But he only wants to do it with people that are really determined to do it. So if you go to my Instagram, Crisscross Rhythms on Instagram, send me a message. I can hook you up with bars, and only if you're really dedicated and want to do some work. No time wasters allowed. Okay. Um, while we're talking about following, don't forget to go on Facebook and follow, and on Instagram and follow The Bridge. The Bridge is coming back. We're really excited to say that The Bridge is coming back. It's going to be here next month, at the end of next month, the last weekend in October, going into November. We will be all around Newcastle over 6 days. 6 days, yes, 6 days. We're going to be around Newcastle doing lots of different things, from popping and locking to street graffiti art to rapping, DJing, and all that good stuff. Hip hop, yeah, not just the rapping, but all the other stuff that goes with it too. Okay, and it's a community event. It's for you, and your kids to all come along. It's all free. It's only free if people help us fundraise, because we've got some funding, but we still need we're shy of 3 grand at the moment. We're up to about £650. Yeah, so we just need a bit more. If you can spare the price that you would normally pay for a Costa coffee, which is about a tenner these days, yeah. If you can just whack us a tenner or a fiver or a quid, whatever it is, again, please just go to Crisscross Rhythms or The Bridge or the Vinyl Vandals, and that's the other one you should be following as well. Vinyl Vandals on Facebook. All the details are there. If you're not sure and you want to help, just get in touch with me. Okay. Shout out to Sandy, who tirelessly sort of captains the ship of that, okay, and as well as the likes of me, Riddler, Leroy, James Watson, and a few others, okay. Amber's on board these days because we'd like to get some injection of young people, but there's quite a few of us all involved in putting that on. We do it for the love of hip hop and the love of our community, so that's what we're there for, okay. This has been a Seven Bridges podcast, hip hop podcast. This is Little Red. Little Red, I'll give you the final say. Have you got anything else to say?
Well, I did. I just wanted to touch a little bit on the bridge actually,
Oh,
because hopefully I'm going to be involved in that again this year, and
definitely will be.
this will be my third year running, being involved with the bridge because I've done the fire and war booth 2 years running
Yeah.
previously to this. That was where I really started getting involved with Method Radio, which I now work at with my own show. Again, shout out to Sandy, shout out to Stu Herring, because without those guys and the listeners of the Kickback, with Little Red, all of it would be impossible without these people making it work. I mean, I know it's my show, I know I host it and X, Y, and Z, but it's not just a solo effort. But yes, shout out to the bridge, like Fred's saying, if anybody can spare a couple of pennies or they want to support, get involved. If there's any companies that want to sponsor, please, we would love to have you on board. It's such a good cause and it helps sort of the younger people get involved as well. Like I said, this will be my third year running, being involved with it, and it's an absolute pleasure and an honour to be involved in something that is so. It's just fantastic for the community and for a lot of the artists. You know, it does a lot of good work and it helps shine a light on artists as well who deserve it. I want to give a shout out to Amber Desi Events CIC. She's doing amazing things in the Northeast. She's who really helped me come out my shell and realise that, you know, I can do this, why not me? If other people can do it, I can do it. She helps a lot of emerging artists. So yeah, shout out to her. She's, you know, I work with her for the events company. So hopefully we apply for funding and things as well. And obviously we know how hard it is these days. But we're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. It helps other people. They help us. You know, it's a mutual exchange. I want to keep it going. And then I want to give a shout out to my partner, Jakey Boy, as well, because he is a very talented up and coming artist. He's a producer. He makes beats. He mixes and masters. Me and him have got a collab that's coming out. I don't even
You
think I
forgot that.
touched on that. I did. I did. I'll be getting it in the neck when I next see him. But no, we've got a track called "Might As Well Start on Monday" that we just need to release it. And we'll probably be performing it at the next Amber Desi events.
Okay. Is there any coming up?
Well, yes, there is one. I'm not sure if this will be out by then, but on the 27th of this month, 27th of September, at Downcast Studios. And then, like I said, in the future, we've had to reschedule it due to funding, but we will have the Femme Fatale event. I'm always sharing stuff on my social media. So I'm Lil Red Dot X on Instagram. There's Amber Desi events on Instagram. If you're interested in any of that, just give either of those pages a follow. Also follow my kickback page for my Method Radio show as well, the other hip hop
What day,
show.
when's that on?
I am on the third Saturday of every month.
So you're the week after me because I'm on the second Saturday every month with my crisscross rhythms,
Yeah.
Afro Latin and Afro jazz and Afro funk show. There we go.
Yeah, so obviously you can get other interviews with up and coming artists
Mhm.
on there, and hopefully I've got a bit of a cypher showcase coming soon. Did have to reschedule that, unfortunately, but you know how things go in showbiz, baby. So
Okay.
yeah, I think
Thank
that's
you.
it.
Thank you. This has been a Seven Bridges hip hop podcast. This is the first one. It's a test. If people like it, then I'll be doing more. If you want to sell your wares, if you've got something coming out, if you've got something to say around about hip hop and hip hop related stuff, tell a friend to tell a friend. I am King Fred. I am a vinyl vandal, and that is me done. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Amber. Amber, Red. Sorry. Tell Amber that
I will do.
okay. Thanks, everybody. Bye.